like, we're going to, what is the path? And for me, it's like, it's having a big vision and little goals.
Yeah.
And as long as you're hitting those check marks on the way and it's aligning and it's pulling you closer to that big vision of life, then you're on the path. If you don't have a big vision and you don't have goals and you're not like attaining things daily that align with that thing you don't have, then you're just spinning your wheels.
I agree. I think so the difference between you and me is you're more spiritual on that level, or have more experience with that, looking up things, reading books, yada yada yada. I'm not there yet, but the way you hit the nail on the head, exactly what I think the quote unquote path would be. But for me, it's like these little small things like this. It's a giant battle, and you have like small victories along the way.
Absolutely.
And that's like kind of cool, your mindset versus mine.
Yeah.
Because spiritual makes sense, and it's the same thing, but mine is simple, I guess, and maybe talks to a different crowd than what yours would talk to.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Like
I think that's good, though.
Yeah. Dual mindset.
So we'll just
same objective.
Same objective. And what's the objective? I say to pursue worthwhile goals and feats in hopes of attaining, not even attaining, but of living into your potential.
Yeah, mine is living a life of no regrets.
No regrets.
Yeah, regrets. That's it.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris.
I'm Ben.
And together we are the Priority Traffic Podcast.
Today we're going over the path. We're going to help you cultivate a life that's worth living. Yeah, that was terrible. I tried to look at the notes.
Oh, good golly, that was fun.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about the path, right? What does that even mean? Every day in life, you wake up, you do actions, right? You get out of bed, you make your bed, you brush your teeth, you have all these little habits. And if you don't, you kind of just unconsciously roll through the morning, and before you know it, you're at work. Right. And then before you know it, you're taking a call, or you're at the lunch table, or you're just finishing out or you're going home, right? Like, wow, that day just kind of flew by.
Yeah.
And when I say the path, and what we're kind of talking about today is, what is your day look like, or what does your day look like, so that it moves you closer to your full potential. We've talked about potential in the past, right? We all have a lot of potential.
Yeah.
We just have to start moving towards it, and we have to identify it. I think, and for me, to be on the path is to have a vision with little objectives on the way, and you do something every day to attain a bite-sized chunk of that big life vision or goal or whatever you want to define it as.
Yeah. It's funny we're talking about this today, man. I saw not more or less a meme than like some kind of like self-help picture on Facebook. Sure. And it was these two little stick figures, and it looks like they had these mile-long ladders going right into heavens, you know? And it said, like, what's easier, the one with the rungs that are this far apart, you can climb up,
like
or
4
the
foot
one
apart,
that's like,
right?
Yeah, or the ones that are like 4 foot apart. Like,
yeah.
Take the one that's got 1,000,000 rungs versus the one that has 100.
Right.
Because otherwise you're jumping and climbing and.
Absolutely.
Oof.
Yeah, the concept of that seems like just take a little step. It's better than no step.
Yeah.
And, if you're making the right decisions, those little steps just add up. And before you know it, you're at the top of that ladder. I think I've seen that meme.
Yeah.
That's pretty
productive meme. I don't know if you can say a meme. Provocative. Gets the people going.
Yeah, it makes you think.
Yeah.
And I like those things that kind of make you question what you already know, right?
Yeah. Or justify what you already know. You go, oh, yeah, all right. That makes sense.
Right. So it's either
right.
affirming, right? It affirms that, yeah, I'm doing the right stuff. I'm making these little habits. I'm making small changes. I got a daily to-do list, right? I know what my goals are.
Yeah. Without that daily to-do list, man, it's like, especially with our job, right? We got these days off, and maybe like before your wife was working from home, you just come home and you're by yourself. Some days I'll find myself go take a shower, do some things around the house, like read a book or like pop on a video game, and you'll get a call from somebody, and they're like, hey man, what are you up to? And you're like, oh, nothing, just kind of like chilling. You look at the time, you're like, it's already noon.
Right.
I've got nothing done. Like without an actual like objective to-do list, like what is going to make me value myself today.
Yeah, like your time, right?
Yeah.
Like we talk about it all the time, or not all the time, but we've mentioned it several times. Like your resources,
Right.
Right. Let's just say for the day, time, energy, and thoughts.
Mhm.
Right. What did you spend your time doing? Did you spend it or did you invest it?
Yeah.
Right. What about your thoughts? Were they self-sabotage thoughts or were they self-lifting, self-motivating thoughts? Right. Like it's kind of it all adds up.
Yeah.
Right. But what if you don't know? Like, what if you're, am I on the path? Am I on the path to anything? Well, when's the last time you achieved a goal that you chose for yourself?
Yeah.
Right. Maybe you're not on that path right now. Maybe you're just attaining someone else's goals by showing up and doing what you know how to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Why aren't you on that path?
I would say that's a pretty powerful question. Like, why aren't you pursuing stuff that really, really resonates with you and you believe in and you're passionate about? And we're not telling anybody what to do.
Yeah.
We're just telling them what we do and how it works for us. And having a vision or getting on the path of self-discovery, self-development, investing your time and money and thoughts and emotions into you and into those things that matter in your life. I think that's what puts you on the path.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Nice.
that helps.
Well, that's a wrap.
Yeah, we're done.
Send
Was
it.
5 minutes. Sweet.
Cut.
Yeah. Wrap it up.
But really, like, I know, what do you see the path as?
So we had a brief conversation about this earlier,
Mhm.
and like we were talking about, you're more of the spiritual mindset, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that because that speaks to a large volume of people in this
Sure.
world, right? Mine is more, it's almost like a practical sense, like real simple. I'm a simple man. Grew up on a farm,
Simple
like,
Jack.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
cows, stuff like that.
Cows, muscles. I mean,
yeah.
I lift things up and put them down.
Yeah, heavy stuff and
Right.
cows. That's my life.
Perfect.
So, yeah, the way I look at the path is it's like a battle. Like life's a battle, right? You don't want to go in like, is it beautiful all the time? Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not.
The weather.
Yeah, weather stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
So you have this giant battle, and maybe your goal is at the end of this battle. Well, there's going to be a million different victories or losses along the way, and how you deal with those victories or losses is going to like kind of predict how the entire battle is going to go.
Right.
If you're trying to go and get ready for an ultra marathon, but every day that you go to tie your shoes, you never even go and run,
Right.
you're going to lose that battle.
That's a daily battle that you lost.
Yeah, and it could just be that small thing for that one goal you have,
Mhm.
or it could be, I quit brushing my teeth 4 years ago, and now in 10 years, not going to have any teeth.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
so that's kind of the way I look at it, is like it's small little battles that you have that you really should win and that you're conscious of.
Right. You
And-
still brush your teeth, though.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Nice.
Not bad, right? My dentist is listening. She's going to lose it.
Don't forget to floss,
Yeah,
everybody.
better not be true.
Oh, man. So, anyways, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, so that's essentially it. You have these small battles that you must win, or at least when you do lose something, you understand like what went wrong, how are you going to beat it next time
Right.
to obtain said goal.
Right. So, like, if I understand what you're saying correctly, like a little victory is just that challenge or whatever you've overcome. And in your scenario, it's a small battle. It's a small fight, right?
Yeah.
We win, and that victory sets us up for the next challenge, right?
Yeah.
We've ascended the mountain. We got to the top. We put our flag in it. Well, we have that experience where we go down the hill, and guess what? There's another hill waiting for us in the distance.
Yeah, and it might be something as small as I didn't want to go to the gym today, but I decided to, or I didn't want to go and like walk past these chips and get fruit out of the fridge or go buy fruit.
Sure.
But these small little things that are going to help set you up for the life that you want, like waking up on time.
Sure. So you before you go off, because I know you're about to go off on some super solid stuff. What is it that we want in life, right? Like, so you were about to say if you don't know what you want in life, you're never going to get it.
Yes.
So that's kind of important to identify what we want in life and what it is that we're aiming for.
the target.
That thing.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, what are you doing?
Right.
Throwing darts at the wall.
Yeah. So along with that, there's probably a million different targets you have. But
Yeah.
the grand scheme of thing is, like for me, I want to be, I had a fulfilling life. If I were to die tomorrow, I would have no regrets with how I've spent the last 26 years.
Sure.
Maybe like a couple things, but overall, I'm happy with it. Like this life owes me nothing. I've done what I wanted to do to the best of my abilities.
Yeah.
And
No regrets.
Yeah, no regrets.
That's a full send. Exactly. And it's you've accomplished things in your past, right? Like, and that's good.
Yeah.
And you've chose those things. Like, you've made accomplishments, you've overcome things, you've willingly and voluntarily attracted or put yourself into positions where you're going to suffer, right? Like CrossFit is basically an hour worth of suffering some workouts.
Yeah.
Some workouts are pretty simple. They're not simple, not easy, taxing.
Yeah.
But they don't make you question your existence all the time.
Yeah.
So you willfully have exposed yourself to detriment and suffering, and that means a lot.
Right. Tough times, suffering, who you spend your time with. I mean, that's something that you can never get back. So it's like knowing that who you spent time with is justified.
Sure.
Do you regret spending time with them? Hopefully not.
Right. Yeah.
Because
hopefully you were
you're
present.
Never going to get it back.
Right.
Hopefully they were worth your time.
Yeah. Right. Were you investing your time into them? Were they just spending their time with you? Right. Like, were you just a placeholder?
Right.
And those are all conversations that you have to have with yourself, and we have to have with ourselves about what do we value. And I think you start talking about values, excuse me, and objectives and goals. You got to back out a little bit and look at the really big picture. Like, what is your vision for your life? And I think I would say this is probably step one. Step one in coming up with, am I on the path, or I want to be on the path? What do I do first? Well, step one, draft a vision of where you see yourself in 50 years, who's around, who's with you, what you're doing, the life you're living, where you're at, imagine your house, all of that stuff, and get it on paper.
Yeah.
Like, write it down. Step one.
Yeah. Get a journal.
I didn't say it, but I heard my buddy say it. You might want to grab a journal and start, asking yourself important questions like, what do you value in life? Where do you see yourself in 50 years? And we don't even have to go that big. We can go 5 years. Where do you see yourself in the next year?
Right.
Next 30 days?
Hold right there, man.
Standing by.
I got this journal for 2023, and right at the beginning of the new year, I started writing stuff down. And I spent probably the last week I haven't touched it.
Sure.
And I was just flipping through like the first couple of days.
Yeah.
And I go, shit. Like, I forgot about this. You know what I mean? Like, I need to get to this. Like, this is my goal this year. Let me get right back on it.
Yeah.
It was cool to look back and just, it's the 8th today?
Yeah, February 8th.
Yeah. So looking just over a month, I already kind of like, some things get blown in the wind.
And it's all about coming back to it, right? It's a practice. Journaling is a practice, and it's a really good way to start laying out your life, right? And if it's in your head that's super cool. But until it's on paper, it's not literally physically there. And once you put it on paper, once you define your division or your vision for your life, and it's got your family members and your kids and your dogs and that happy life you're living, guess what you get to start doing after that?
What's that?
You get to work backwards, right? So now we start reverse engineering what it's going to take to get to my future self, right? And so when you're on that direction or trajectory in life, that's what I would call the path. Like, you are on the path to something, and you've identified what it is. It could be to be the battalion chief of your department. It could be to be a lieutenant. It could be to make it through the fire academy.
Yeah.
Right? So you're actively stepping into these new environments, hoping to come out on the other side a different person. And likely you will, because we're changing all the time.
Yeah.
Everything around us is changing. We learn something, so now we learned that red light means stop, green light means go, so we don't keep going through those intersections anymore.
Yeah.
It's red, we stop. We learn.
Got lights on.
Right. Yeah, well, woo-woos don't stop traffic. So,
That's true.
Yeah.
You have to ask for permission, assume permission.
Dude, I come to, most of the time, full stop at red lights.
Oh, yeah. Us
like,
too.
I'll creep one, like if it's an intersection, but I look, like we got guys looking out all the windows.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not getting hit by traffic.
No, knock on wood. Never been in an accident. Don't want to be one.
Yeah. I just drive super, not passive aggressive, but aggressive, but like slow.
Yeah, defensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say defensive is pretty good.
Pay attention to everybody else.
Right.
So before we get crazy about my idea, I want to share yours.
My thoughts.
Yep, on the path. What is it?
Oh.
From Chris Warden.
from Chris Warden. So here, when I vision the path, right? I envision this person, anybody,
Okay.
out in the woods, right? You're out in the woods, and there's all sorts of paths, and it can be dark and scary. It can be a nice wooded woods. It's like not scary, like in the movie Bambi, like it's that woods, or it's maybe it's the Wicked Witch's woods. It can be however you want it to be, but there's paths going all over the place in front of you, right? You've got all these opportunities. Sometimes we take a path that's been traveled a lot. We've seen people go. It worked. Why don't we follow?
Yeah.
We walk down that path. It leads you somewhere. We'll see what happens.
Might be retirement.
Yeah, it could be something.
Yeah.
It could definitely, it's going to take you somewhere.
Achieved.
Sure.
Okay.
So you made a choice to not make your own path, right?
Right.
So maybe there's a path in front of us that says, this is the one that your past experiences think you should take, or the people in your life told you you'd be good at, or you're trying to fulfill what you believe would make someone else proud, right? Like you're trying to make your dad happy because you're a police officer,
right.
Whatever that means.
Yeah.
Or
sorry, Dad.
me being a fireman, like did I become a firefighter because my dad was a firefighter? Well, who knows? But here I am, and we're working through it.
Yeah.
So you could choose that, or life experiences like maybe you broke a leg, and right now you got this new path to go down. Who knows? Or there's a path where it's kind of grown over. It's not well traveled, and it's like, wow, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stick my head in that bush and see what comes on the other side. And before you know it, you're forging your way through what I would call the forest, but it's just life. But you're actually pushing things out of your own way to make your own path. And it's not easy, and life throws all sorts of things at us.
For example, that might be judgment from others based on, say you start this podcast.
Yeah.
Somebody goes, hey, Chris, you're wasting all your time, all this money. What's wrong with you? You don't have to do this.
Exactly.
That's the type of.
Yeah, you're gonna see all sorts of things, and then it's like dark and scary and gross smelling. It's probably a bog. And it's like, oh, I don't want to walk through that. I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You gotta go through it.
Yeah.
It's just part of it.
Yeah.
Like, you'll get through it, and you'll learn how to swim. You'll learn about ticks, like all those. Like every time we go through something that challenges us, hopefully we're coming on the other side a better person, and we've learned something, and we've got it in our experience book.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at with the path. Right. You're going your own route, and you know where you're going because you can see the mountain in the distance. Right. I'm in the woods. I see the mountain. But I got to walk through all this crap all over the place. It's just a challenge. It's scary, but you'll get there.
Okay.
So that when you've identified the mountain peak, and this could be a small thing, like just waking up on time every morning. It's all a story, right? Or it could be getting to age 75, having $2 million in the bank, whatever that vision is for you.
Gotcha.
So that's how I kind of perceive the path. And I would say anybody that's consciously cultivating the decisions and actions in their life to lead them closer to what they hold in their vision is on the path. And it takes active living to go a direction that you choose.
Yeah, I think you nailed on the head with that. That's pretty sweet. I like the fact that you kind of wrote down there's like a path that is just like clear, smooth, dry. Sure. And that's almost like the autopilot path. But hey, guess what? You can get hired on here. Like, say it's just retiring from a fire department.
Right.
You can get hired on here. You can go through. You can be the bottom of the barrel. Show up to work on time every day.
Right.
Maybe you don't do anything extra. You're never the guy somebody calls for. But one day you'll retire. People have done it. A million people before you've done it.
Mm-hmm.
Just follow this path.
Yeah.
And then there's guys that want to go and do the trainings. Guys that want to put on the trainings, be instructors, want to go and be lieutenants, be drivers, battalion chiefs, whatever.
Right.
Then they're kind of veering off that path. Like maybe they started on there. They go, all right, well, this is the easy way to start. But then they kind of break off.
Yeah, but maybe it's not so common because, I mean, not everybody becomes a battalion chief.
No, absolutely not.
And not everybody wants to.
Yeah.
So that's it. Just like you said, that's the same thing.
Yeah, that's a cool visual.
Yeah.
Like
so
it.
In the woods, you got all these options and all the experiences that come with it. No matter what path you take, you're going to end up somewhere, and there's going to be things along the way that are challenging.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what path you choose. So you just got to choose what you're willing to suffer through.
I like that. Yeah, that visual behind it is pretty good.
Yeah.
You're creative.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm more of a, you fall down 5 times, you get up 6, and keep on trucking.
Okay.
Things will work out.
I mean,
always do.
There's beauty in simplicity, brother.
Man upstairs.
It doesn't have to be deep. So what is your take on the path? How do you hold this concept in your nog?
Whew. Well, kind of going back to the battleground I was talking of, and like a real simplistic version of, you have these victories, you want to win them. Eventually they stack until you achieve said goal. But overall, it's like, my path is lifelong. Granted, I don't know how long I have to live. I don't want to regret anything I did do.
Right.
Any losses I have along the way, I'm going to try to learn from, so I don't continue to lose.
Yeah.
Nobody likes a loser.
Nope.
And the only way you grow is to win.
Right. If you don't take anything from the loss, you're a loser.
Yeah.
But if you can learn from it and grow from it, you didn't lose.
Right.
You gained.
And so my path is, one day I want to sit there in retirement. One day I want to sit there in an office. One day I want to sit there in a business. I don't know. Something fun where I won't regret what I'm doing. And look back and say, I had one hell of a life.
Yeah.
And it all led through 18 different chapters of my book, but they all got written.
Yeah.
They're all unique.
And you chose them.
Yeah.
Like you're the writer.
Them.
You're the author of that book.
Yep.
So your chapters, you're writing them today.
Yeah.
And sometimes words appear on the page and like we didn't write those. They just kind of happened to us. And we don't want those pages leading out through our whole book. So we have to choose to take active participation in writing our book and having it be the way we want it to be.
Yeah. Paying attention to the actions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every day.
I think it really comes down to, like, ask yourself what's important. Look deep within yourself, your heart, your soul. What matters to you? What's worth fighting for? Right? Identify those things and then choose them. Make them a priority. Make them, write down why they matter, how important they are, how awful it would be for the people in your life that rely on you for said thing. And imagine if you were gone, how hard it would be on them, right? So tie your big vision into the people that depend on you to be everything you can be.
Throw some skin in the game.
Yeah, man. And everything you do every single day should lead you towards that pinnacle of yourself, like your future self. We've talked about it.
Yeah, it's compounding interest.
Right.
Essentially.
Yeah, and you got to close the gap. So every single day, it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to move the earth every day.
No.
Right?
No.
But consistency over time adds up. It compounds, just like you said.
Yeah.
And before you know it,
beats skill.
There's a lot of things that add to making this a success. And being consistent, being disciplined to do the things that aren't always comfortable when you don't want to do them, that's really helpful, right? But along with discipline comes some motivation. And if you're doing it for your family members and you're making yourself a better version of yourself every day for the people around you, now you're serving them better and it's making their life better.
Yeah. We had an interesting guest, not going to name drop anybody.
Oh,
he
gosh.
said he had a little bit of change in his attitude once he had his son. He said, started coming home and saying, you know what, I'm going to set down that Xbox controller and I'm going to get to work and try to be better every day. Because it's no longer just me and my wife, but it's like me, my wife, and mini-me. Yeah,
now he's got a role to fulfill.
Yeah.
And like, how good are you fulfilling that role every single day?
Yeah, being a dad wearing that Superman cape.
Identifying life roles is a super, super awesome concept, and it's something we'll talk about in the future. But just look around right now, and you've got plenty of things to live for, and start investing in yourself to be the best version of yourself, to move into a position where you can fulfill that role so good. Yeah. Whatever it is, a firefighter, a husband, a brother, a son, a sister, a daughter.
Yeah, find a simple challenge. That's what I challenge the audience to find something that they want to either improve on or they want to achieve, and learn from the losses, be thrilled about their victories.
Get started.
Make it known to somebody that is close to you, so you have a little bit of accountability, and work towards it. It's February. We got plenty of the year left.
Yeah, you got plenty of like the first half of the year.
Yeah, knock it out. Make it happen.
Right, just like he's saying. And literally, you must have read my playbook because step 2, right? So we got step 1, draft your vision, write it down. What do you see for the big time? Step 2, identify the adventure. That's exactly what he's talking about, what you're talking about. You've identified the adventure, understand that there's going to be challenges, objectives, setbacks, achievements. It's going to be tough. Everything's tough. Like, we're just lucky that we live in houses and stuff. Otherwise, we'd be living outside, and that's tough.
Yeah, mud
Like,
and sticks.
It's all mud and sticks, bro.
People do it, man.
All the time. And I don't feel like living in a tent, so I'm going to keep fighting for the lifestyle I have.
I hear you.
Right? So what do we do next? We've identified that adventure, right? So somebody wants to get better at something. Well, guess what we do next? Start setting goals, right? And we're not going to dig too deep into what a good goal is, but there's an acronym, SMART goals. Go ahead and Google that. You can have that information by the time we come and present the goals setting podcast, but you'll be ahead of the curve. But we got to start talking about goals.
Yeah.
Like if your goal, let's just use yours as an ultra marathon. Like you should have quarterly goals where you're hitting like specific landmarks as far as time running and distance running.
Or based on whatever routine that you're trying to follow.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, know that you're on pace.
Landmarks or objectives, but having goals is really important, and making sure they're smart, measurable, attainable, realistic, and have a timeline, SMART goals, that's going to really help.
Yeah.
So that if you've got goals, you're on the path to something.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I know, for instance, ultra, you are starting to get on the path.
Yeah.
Like to becoming something better.
Lose weight, get lighter, build your endurance, build your motor.
Right.
Start eating right.
Study the craft.
Yeah.
Learn more.
Yeah.
Become a better fireman. What does that mean? Well, there's so many aspects of being a firefighter that all you have to do is pick one that you're actually passionate about and just learn a little bit about it. Learn the principles of extrication or hydraulics or whatever it is that sparks an interest in your heart and in your soul that makes you want to read about it. If it's something you want to read about, there's a good chance you'll pick up a book. Yeah. And that's like, if you are reading stuff about what you're passionate about, you are on the right direction.
Right.
I think, personally. Yeah. And if you're not on the wrong direction. Maybe you just don't have direction. Maybe you don't have motivation to get out of the chair and pursue something more.
Yeah.
No big deal. I'm not judging. But if you want to live a worthwhile and fulfilling life, this is what I think and what I believe.
Being able to be a teacher of the craft.
Yeah.
I had a battalion chief, so we were taking turns. Seems every Sunday we're putting on some kind of training. One of the I would say younger, but most of our department's pretty young. Mm-hmm. They'll take a step up, do something. We had cold weather operations. We had ice water rescue.
Nice.
And then battalion chief was looking for a guy at our station. He goes, "All right, what would you guys like to do?" And like, look at myself. I'm like, man, like I'm confident in my abilities, blah blah blah. And I'm going, what would I want to train people on?
Yeah.
Like, what am I confident enough to be like, I know every aspect of this, to teach it to the T, like everything's right. And I'm like, kind of like self-reflection of like, oh shit.
So, I mean, what you just listed is mastery level, right? Like everything's to a T, everything's right, like mastery level, right? So
that's how I view myself. I mean, I think I'm like the bee's knees when it comes to being a firefighter. Apparently not. Got a couple of things you got to polish off.
So that's one really, really good way to start, A, checking yourself.
Yeah.
How well can you teach this topic that you think you've got mastered? But B, digging into it farther and learning the subtle aspects and really working on the basics, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to go run or you want to do anything, learn the basics of what you're about to embark on. And that's going to just give you more foundational knowledge to move forward into that unknown path. As you're chopping stuff down, you're like, oh, look, that's a tool. Now I got nippers and I can cut through. Oh, I got a chainsaw.
Right.
Like before you know it, you've gathered all the tools that are going to get you to the top of that mountain or through that thick brush in the forest where you're like forging your own path. And that's wisdom. That comes from books and other people's experiences.
Yeah. Other people have done it before. Figure out how they did it.
Ask them.
It better.
Ask them. You got a good runner or like, let's just pick a different topic. If you got a guy who loves to make leather radio straps and you want to do it, talk to him. Ask him how he did it.
Yeah.
Ask him to tell you his story. Like maybe it lines up with yours. Maybe you don't really want to make leather straps. Maybe you want to make, I don't know, like tool pouches, whatever.
Yeah.
But just start talking to the people who've done what you want to do and know what you want to do every day.
Yeah.
A little bit.
He was a beginner. He made a lot of errors and you can learn from those errors.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Speed up your process.
Right. Save yourself time. Save your resources by talking to someone else and learning from their mistakes. And maybe they're going to be like, dude, I wasted so much time doing this. Try this.
Oh.
Right. So that talks about step 4, to getting on the path is start assessing your skills,
Okay.
right? What skills do you have? What do you need? What's going to be helpful? What's going to get you closer to that peak on the mountain? What's going to close the gap between your future self and your current self? Like if you want to be a battalion chief, well, you got to have a handful of certifications. You got to be certified. You probably should be a lieutenant. You probably should have drove the fire truck for a little bit. Yeah. Like these are all prerequisites, not officially, but they're going to build your skills. You spend time in those environments. They're going to make you better at what you want to be in the future. So it's not about like being the battalion chief today or tomorrow, but be a good firefighter today.
Yeah.
Like learn the things that you need to know as a battalion chief today. Start focusing on firefighter basics, and then the nuanced stuff will come through experience and time. I think
so too. I think it's that compounding interest of wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
You're gonna look at that 401k and go, "Oh,
I made good decisions 25 years ago."
Yeah, right.
Right. That's another thing, like being able to be your future self, that self that's going to be the battalion chief, looking back and saying, "Man, my 20-year-old or 20 years ago firefighter self, he set this up." Right? And that's us today.
Yeah, this didn't happen on accident.
Right, exactly.
It was all designed.
Yeah, and that's where you visioned yourself to be, and that's where you ended up. But it takes you acting today, right? It's going to take step 5, take one meaningful action every day to get you closer to being to what you define as your peak, right? And it could just be through Fire Academy. It could be through the testing process for lieutenants that's happening right now in our department. Okay. So it could be the battalion chief. It could be a fire chief. It could be outside of the fire service.
Yeah.
It could be a support role that helps firefighters, kind of like what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right? Like trying to provide beneficial stuff. It doesn't have to be much, but what it needs to be is in alignment with what brings you passion, what fulfills you, what fills your bucket, so you can serve other people.
Yeah. If you enjoy the journey, it's going to be a lot easier than somebody that's just kind of grinding their teeth through it.
Right. Are you on a path or are you on the path?
Yeah.
Right? A path. Arbitrary. Unintentional.
Yikes.
The path.
Good one.
Specific and intentional. You chose it and you're actively pursuing it.
I like that.
That's gold.
That's a good sum up.
Yeah, right. So we got one little pro tip for you before we guys let you go on the path topic today. Pro tip: if you're looking to set your vision up, make sure what you want to do is it's something that brings you joy. Right? It piques your interest. It draws you in. You've got questions. You're curious, and it could be something you're good at. It doesn't have to be a skill that you don't have. It can be something that you already are excelling at, but maybe there's crossover. Right? So maybe you're a CrossFit coach, and you're like, I want to be a firefighter, and now you're in the fire service, and you could start impacting your crew with your CrossFit knowledge, right? That intersectionality. That's a big place to start. Pay attention to that. And one little secret, if you're going to do something worthwhile, and if it serves other people, that's a double whammy. Because now you're bringing a product that you believe in and helps people, but it also fulfills your soul because you are serving other people. Yeah. And I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what I do. And it works.
Yeah.
So.
Man of the people.
Whatever. Just
humble.
Whatever
humble.
You do, start doing it today. That's really all I can say about that. And we really, really appreciate you guys checking out the Path episode. Hopefully we didn't muddy up the water too much. And it was something worthwhile. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Check us out on all the social media stuff. I'm Chris.
I'm Ben.
And together we are Priority Traffic Podcast.
Bye.